mean, they are singing and doing all sorts of things, but I sit in my chair and I do this softly, of course. But this is just to help me counting. So now I've counted all the people on this side. Now I go and receive the gifts and so on. Then I sit again down for communion. I remember the first time in Mossel Bay, I was a young priest. Not that I'm not a young priest, but I walked out of this from the sacristy onto the sanctuary, and St. Blaise Church was packed. There wasn't a place for a mouse, and I panicked for a full minute and a half. It was a funeral of one of the people. In my very second year in Mossel Bay. I couldn't handle it. But of course, I mean, I had to restore. A funeral. Let's just look at the funeral. We say, it's a groot begrafenis, by the number of people, by the length of the hearse or whatever the stoep. Oh, maar dis 'n lang stoep, which means there are many cars. And then there are not one bus, but two buses. So we even dare to make the conclusion or the judgment that she or he who died, she was a good or a great or an influential person, maar die begrafenis was so groot geweest. Het jy gesien die karre van waar kom? Wat is eigenlijk was Nanavi van Gauteng. So the number of vocations, for example, is often said to be the witness of a good parish. In this parish, I know we engaged in counting the number of priests coming from Bridgeton, St. Nicholas. Compare that to the number of priests coming from St. Mary's in George. Also, it's like net so gelyk, jy weet. But that means that's a good parish, because there's not only one priest from that parish, but 3 or 4 or something as it is in our case. So therefore, obviously, the opposite, when the numbers are low, the opposite is accepted to be true. Without going through the whole list, it just doesn't sit well when the numbers are down, when it leaves us uncomfortable. I remember the first few days after our ordination in 1995, we were given a week or 2 of holidays, and then the bishop said, "So, you now go to your place, you will have been placed in St. Blaise." So I went to St. Blaise. And in that week, as I started at St. Blaise, maybe the second week, there was a funeral of a priest in St. Mary's. A Palatine priest, an old priest, a German priest. I think it's Father Miller or one of the old priests. I can't remember. It wasn't Father Noah. But you know, it was on a weekday. You never bury on a weekday in a colored parish, but there were a few people in that large church of St. Mary's, here and there. You can count, of course people worked, we say, and then there were priests, but this for me contrasted very, very strongly with the throng of people at the cathedral in Oudtshoorn, present at our ordination. Daar was nie 'n plek vir 'n mens nie. And here I come, there I was, 2 priests at the beginning of their priesthood. Here at St. Mary's I come, a priest at the end of his priesthood, one could say. And look at the large contrast. And I was sad. I was very sad. I said to myself, "Hey man, het jy op die regte plek die op? Moet jy 'n priester word of wat?" So, of course, it contrasted there. So, therefore, when numbers are down, we devise ways means of explaining why the numbers are down. We are here 30, about 30. We could have been maybe 50, but we quickly find ways of explaining. Maybe our communication wasn't so good. Maybe it was because the bishop moved the date around. You know, now it was this and then it is that. And maybe it is because at this time of the year, everything happens in the parish. Everything happens in the parish. Everything happens in the parish. So, the famous scriptural one that we have devised is, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst. So, you see, when the numbers are low, we just quote that, and we are encouraged by that. Because we're expecting numbers to be large, because that's when things will happen. In the cathedral parish, 5 or less come to weekday masses on average. Weekday masses are from Tuesday to Friday. You won't get more than 5 people at any of those masses. The past 3 weeks I had 2 people per mass. 2 people. Alright? The most is, and if it's 5. And if there are 5 people, I feel the church is full of fire. And I feel like preaching. So I say, oh, it's a small parish. It's a small parish. People are spoiled for choice. There are 3 places to have, 4 places to have mass in Oudtshoorn. 1 at the cathedral, 1 at St. Nicholas, 1 at the Queen of Peace, and 1 at the oratory. You could choose between any of those to go to mass. Okay? So that's my excuse. Now, in Duiselsdorp here, at St.